Well, new this morning, you know him as our 9 News Broncos Insider, but this morning he joins us in a different role as a renowned author.
Right, so he has a new book out called The Elway Years,
right.
The Man Who Lifted the Denver Broncos to Prominence. Mike Klis is here with us to talk about it. Good morning.
Hey, morning. Thanks. Nice to see you guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
Coming off Dark Side.
Where do you find time in your busy schedule to even write a book?
Yeah, that did take an extra hour a day for about a year to go through with that. And you know, when you're on the road sometimes when there's a night game and you're on the road, you're killing time in a hotel room. That's a good time to call Terrell Davis or Mike Shanahan and some of the guys that kind of helped me with this book.
So you have written several books, you were saying. Why did you focus this one on Elway? Yes,
the publishers approached me on this, and you know, with the Broncos at the time, this was last year, early last year. At the time, the Broncos weren't doing so well and hadn't been doing so well in a while.
Yeah.
I mean, they're about ready to snap a playoff drought of 8 years. Yeah. They did snap a losing record season of 7 years, so they wanted to kind of relive some glory from the good old days. And Elway had just kind of stepped away as general manager, kind of out of the limelight. And so initially we were focusing on the 1997-98 Super Bowl years with Elway kind of at the center of it all. And then it became a lot about Elway's journey, and with 1997 and 98 at the center of his story. So it kind of evolved like that. And a lot of good stories, anecdotes. A lot of people helped me. I interviewed quite a few, I'd say 20 to 25 of his past teammates and coaches. So, yeah.
A lot of research went into this. As you can see, the Son of Bum era. That is the page I turned to right there.
Yeah, there you go.
A lot of different chapters in his life. Yeah. You know, throughout this, John Elway really became a figurehead, not only in the sports world, but really for the city of Denver and for the state of Colorado. What made him such a figure?
Yeah, he was so big coming out of college. You know, I think he's still the #1 quarterback prospect to ever come out. I mean, you watched him in Stanford, and even though he never went to a bowl game, and I don't think he ever had a winning season. He was going to until the band game. You remember the band game? Band on the field, and the guy ran back a onside kick or a flea flicker all over the field. But I mean, people were mesmerized by him on how strong his arm was. I mean, the prototype Elway throw was scrambling left, you know, setting and just firing a laser rocket to the far right side of the quadrant to Vance Johnson. So he was so big and so big a celebrity at the time. You heard stories, columnists, there was the Elway Watch, a columnist, Terry Thompson, wrote about the Halloween candy he handed out. I mean, that he was in a fishbowl here.
Wow.
And so, yeah, had the Republican Party, had Elway wanted, he could have ran for senator, governor. I think he was approached for all the political offices. Yeah, he transcended playing football in this state, that's for sure.
Yeah, that is so true. So you talked about how you interviewed 20-plus people for this book, but you also sat down with Elway himself for it.
I did, and he went through step by step, and you know, it was amazing to me. One thing I got out of that is how, boy, he was so successful during the Dan Reeves era, and they really didn't like each other. They clashed at almost every turn, and one time Elway aired his grievances to the great Dick Connor, late great Dick Connor, in one of the newspapers. Can't remember which one he was working for, but he aired his grievances in the paper to Dick Connor, and Dan Reeves yelled at Shanahan, "How did this get in the newspaper?" And Shanahan said, "What are you yelling at me for?" And he brought John into the office, and John and Reeves had a nice little screaming match. And they still won. They still went to the AFC Championship game that year. So it just goes to show that two competitors, very stubborn. It's still about the game. It's still about keeping score. It's still about winning, and they both got it done.
Well, Mike, I've asked you many questions over the years. I still got many questions left ahead, but perhaps the most important one is, where can everybody get a copy of this book?
Well, for the most part, people have been telling me they saw it at Barnes & Noble here the last week, various bookstores in town, and of course on Amazon.com.
You are so impressive. I really don't know how you do it all and find the time.
I need your stamina. I need your discipline.
It's amazing. Well, congratulations. I know it takes so much work.
Thank you for letting me, pump the book a little bit.
And making time to wake up early before he's got to get back to his other job today.
On the other side of the day for us.
Getting ready for Merry Christmas, too.
Good.
We got to have you back then for some Merry Christmas.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, Mike Klis.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Let's get a check of your forecast now with senior meteorologist Chris Bianchi. Chris, I'll get you a copy signed, but I know a guy.
I was going to say, I mean, I got to get that book. Nobody better sourced or harder working than Mike Klis. And just in time for Christmas coming up here in about 9 days.